Welcome back to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. I'm so happy everybody came back for more. If you've been listening to my episodes the last few weeks, I've been very IBMA focused. IBMA is right around the corner. Just, wow, can't wait. September 16th through the 20th, the IBMA is going to be in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Still an opportunity to get tickets for all the events coming up. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. I'm really excited to talk all about it, but today we've got a very special guest, Randy Steele, most popularly known, at least in T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass world, Randy Steele and the High Cold Wind. I've known Randy Steele for years. Originally came across Randy Steele with a band called Slim Pickens. For those of you that don't know, Slim Pickens does the bumper music for T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass, both the intro and the outro. And I contracted with Randy Steele and Randy Steele and the High Cold Wind to cut my mortgage commercial jingle that you hear throughout T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. I'm a mortgage lender in Tennessee, Georgia, and Colorado. Be happy to help you with any mortgage needs, but we owe that to Randy Steele. So I'm super excited to share Randy Steele today. We're going to talk about what Randy Steele's up to, what he's got going on in the world of bluegrass. We're also going to talk a little bit about the IBMA, or quite a bit about the IBMA. Actually, Randy's been an integral part of the IBMA coming to Chattanooga. Going to hear about that and more. And without further ado, let's go to my conversation with Randy Steele. Randy, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm stoked you're here today. We've got a ton I want to get into, but first and foremost, the gorilla in the room. IBMA, by now my listeners have been hearing me talk about it almost every episode this season. It's right around the corner. IBMA is coming to Chattanooga.
Close. I know, it's amazing how close it is, especially
right from
from the very early days to now. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it feels like it was a long time ago, when it first got the ideas first kind of getting kicked around. So seeing it grow all this time, I never really thought it was actually going to get here. So now that it's just a little bit away, it's pretty wild.
Reality is sinking in. What is your, I know you're volunteering and you've been promoting the IBMA. What is your involvement with IBMA currently?
I've been an IBMA member for a long time. And like most independent bluegrass musician, it was trying to get into, I was in IBMA trying to get showcases and trying to get into the business conference and stuff like that. That was kind of how I first got involved. And really for the IBMA festival itself, my role really is more like a volunteer. Like I'm doing some volunteer stuff, and I've been trying to use the, whatever social media presence stuff that we have in Chattanooga to try to that's kind of been our tier, is to try to let Chattanoogans know what's going on. Because there's plenty of other great bluegrass musicians who can let the people in West Virginia or Florida or Oklahoma know about it. But locally, it's just been kind of my chore to try to let, the local Chattanoogas know what's going on and be, I don't know, maybe like a trusted bluegrass face for the city. It's like me and Cindy Pinion are who they know for bluegrass around here. So I think that's
Cindy's the queen of local bluegrass promotion, for sure.
Definitely the queen. Absolutely.
I know you've been handing out show bills. I've got one hanging in the corner. You can't see. I've got the glare of my monitor on it. I'd have to redo the lighting for that.
Nice.
But I'll fix that for next episode. You can recognize the top part of it. So
yeah, I can see
now.
that.
So you had mentioned locals. You're doing a lot of promotion in the local area. I'm aware of obviously the headliners taking place at the festival, but is there going to be a local contingent or a local part of the Ramble that you know of, or maybe you don't know of? But I haven't seen anything specifically mentioned local bands' involvement at this point.
There's a stage that right now we just put out by the time this comes out, it'll probably already be released who the bands are. But right now everybody's putting in submissions to a group of folks who are going to go through them and pick. Basically, I mean, we have 2 days and a stage to put music on for 10 hours a day. So we should be able to get a lot of local bands in there. And it's going to be Friday and Saturday, going to be running the whole time the festival's running on Market Street, just right outside the festival. So that's going to be a great way for Chattanoogans who are musicians or who are in bands to get their face and name out there in front of a bunch of music fans. I mean, because bluegrass fans like yourself are music fans. It may not be just bluegrass that you listen to, although it may just be too. You never know. There's a lot of the local venues. I've been in touch with, local artists, and they're doing stuff. Cherry Street Tavern is having basically local artists play through the whole thing. And I know that some of the venues that have ramble shows are also doing some local shows. Like Gate 11 is doing a Tuesday show before the big show. It's not a pre-show. You can't call it a pre-show, but it's in the same place. But it's a bluegrass show on Tuesday. They're doing that too. There's really, man, there's so much bluegrass going on. There's a lot of opportunity for local musicians like myself to get involved with. It's one of the best parts about it being here is that it's really helping this kind of local music economy all around. We have, this because you're from here, but I mean, we have a pretty staggering amount of bluegrass musicians around here, and bluegrass musicians a lot of times just seem to move here. Since we have a lot of cool jams, we have a lot of cool things that happen around Chattanooga. It's also really easy to get to Nashville, to Atlanta, to Knoxville, to Asheville, to Birmingham. So yeah, I see a
It's
lot of opportunity for local musicians, and I think a lot of those local musicians, people would be surprised at the tier level bluegrass musicians we have here in town.
I frequently have told my listeners in the users, good grief, listeners in the past about part of the much I enjoy bluegrass. I enjoy bluegrass almost more when the stage stops and I'm in the campground or the hotel
Yeah,
or
lights go out. Yeah, yeah.
in the parking lot. The jams come out, and I was ignorant to it really until not that long ago, but within the last 5 years for sure. You're absolutely right. The local scene has some jaw-dropping talent. It's a
Yeah, yeah. There's
great
some
place to be
eh,
as a music fan.
yeah, I tell you too, man, there's some really great young folks coming up too that are I mean, you've heard Eb Saunders play. Eb Saunders is Owen Saunders' son. He's a teenager, and he
Yeah,
is. I mean, honestly, like
he's
week after week,
playing
I'm
primarily with
like,
Landon
what is?
Fitzpatrick right now, is he not?
He plays with a lot of people. He plays in Landon's band. Yeah, he plays with Landon's band. I think they're all going to be on the road some, so some people probably have a chance to catch him play. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, I mean, that's to me, that's just one example. There's a ton of great young kids and younger generation than me that are all into it.
I'm excited to hear that there is going to be a local showcase, for lack of a better term, because at the moment it really hasn't been talked about, and I've already, what I know schedule wise, it's a real problem of FOMO during IBMA. There's going to be so many things going on at the exact same time that you want to be a part
Yeah,
of,
you're right.
and it's
I
like you
know.
can't win and you can't lose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it needs to be. It's like for the big hardcore fan like T. Shaw's progressive bluegrass. You really need, you're really gonna have to map your day out. The chill attitude of Randy Steele. I'm just cool. I'm just gonna be kicking it in my boots all day, and that's it.
Speaking of Chill and Randy Steele, so you've been involved. Well, you were like most of us, at least most of what I think most of my listeners are, where we didn't come from bluegrass per se. We started as a music enthusiast, perhaps in different genres, and then bluegrass came a little bit later. Is that similar to your story?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I came into bluegrass. Well, I mean, I grew up in Bradley County, Tennessee, so it was around all the time. But my grandfather was a big time bluegrass lover, but he couldn't play bluegrass. Like he was like a, my grandfather was a minister and he would use guitars and songs just during church. But he couldn't ever play bluegrass. He just always loved it. And he had this double live album from Bean Blossom, which is Bill Monroe's festival. And I can't remember what year it was, but it was awesome. And we would listen to it all the time. And he would be like, I like this song and this song. It's got a bunch of people. It's got the Osborne brothers, Jim and Jesse. It's got everybody, a bunch of great old school bluegrass guys. So that was kind of my first really like introduction. But that was really more just like chilling with Papa. It wasn't like, it was like his thing, like you kind of listened to it with him, but that was about it. Later on years, I started getting real into jam band music. My uncle was in jam band, and I started really getting into jam band music, and you know listening to a lot of Fish and stuff like that. Of course, they had a kind of a bluegrass influence that piqued
There's a
me and a couple
huge
other people's interests.
crossover of Fish fans to bluegrass I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they did a bunch of. Did you know that? Oh man, I'm trying to remember. Banjo player in Atlanta. His name's Reverend Jeff Mosier. You
Yes,
know him?
yes. Okay.
Have you ever heard of him?
Not
He
personally.
went. He
Yes.
actually
Yes.
he actually toured with Fish in their early days and just taught them how to play bluegrass. So they would come out as a bluegrass band randomly, and Mike Gordon would play the banjo, and John Fishman played mandolin, and Trey stayed on guitar. But yeah, so
That'd be fun to find. Probably
those
before a lot of footage
it's
existed.
early days. I bet there's stuff out there. It's early days. You just Google it. If you Google Mike Gordon banjo, I bet you'll find some stuff.
That out.
But it was, yeah, that and the Grateful Dead. I was always into the Grateful Dead from the time I was young, from the time I was like 15 till now still. So, I got into Older in the Way through that. So I was really familiar with bluegrass. I never really attempted to play it. At the time I was playing jam band music, just like basically like I'd started like a jam band that was akin to Allman Brothers. Like we were really big into Allman Brothers. So we would just play Allman Brothers esque stuff all the time. And
And were you playing
you
guitar
know,
at this point?
just playing guitar. Yeah, I played electric guitar, and I ended up going to college through that. There's like studied studio music and jazz guitar for a little while at UTK, the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and then I kind of hit this place where I realized that the people who were graduating, I didn't see them getting jobs right away, and I was
Hmm.
having to pay for. We were having to pay for school. It wasn't financially easy to be in college at the time, so I decided to get an EMT
So
license.
going into
And
a professional bluegrass circumstance was not in the cards.
really any music, yeah, any music, really, honestly. And I got into EMS and started working on an ambulance, and that led to fire department. And then started working for the fire department. And then I just kind of had put down music really for a long time, almost probably 4 or 5 years. Our band was popular, so we would play shows like from time to time, but it was regionally popular here, Atlanta, Birmingham, Knoxville, and that's it. I was kind of really wasn't even thinking about music. I had a guitar and I would play randomly from time to time. I think I let Yachty Westfield borrow all my stuff, and he had it for like 2 years. But then, the Oh Brother Where Art Thou movie came out, and bluegrass music really kind of came to the forefront, and started listening to it a lot, and started listening to a little more bluegrass. And I went and bought that Bean Blossom double CD, and now
Mm.
and really, really fell in love with it. Really fell in love with bluegrass music completely with that. And about the same time, a friend of mine had introduced me to playing banjo and started learning. And I just lucked into finding a great teacher and started taking lessons. And then, man, from that point forward, I fell in love. I mean, I fell head over heels for the banjo, like just basically right away. The
What do you
I don't
think
know, it
your
just
age was
was.
at this point?
I got hired at the fire department when I was 22, so I was probably 24, maybe 25,
Okay.
something like that.
So young adulthood when you picked up the banjo
Yeah, young
essentially for the
adult.
first time.
Yeah, young adult, mid 20s. I was already married. And I know we had been married for about 2 years. So yeah, that would have been around. It would have been about 24, 25. I got married
Probably
kind of
best
young.
you waited till after you got married.
You know what happened? I started with a fiddle. That's the way to do it. That's the trick. No matter what you want to do, no matter what
Everything
hobby you're
sounds
thinking
good.
about getting into, it doesn't matter if it's music. It could be anything in the world. Nothing is as annoying as learning how to play the fiddle, I promise you. So if you want to do a hobby, if you're like, I want to get into, I want to, build a Jeep, go get a fiddle and start taking fiddle lessons. And your significant other will be like, when you bring the Jeep
I'm
up, they'll
out.
be like, "That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Maybe a Jeep is a good thing. Let's just
Go
get rid
spend
of
your
that
time in the
fiddle."
garage welding things.
So yeah, that's what happened with me and the banjo. Was I started with fiddle and I was like, "What do you think about banjo?" And she was like, "Thank God. Yes, the banjo. That's great. Whatever. It doesn't matter." But I did it. It really just
Please.
intrigued me a lot back in that time. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. It was early on too, where like a great part about Chattanooga, we have a place called Barking Lakes Theater, and early on in my days, I saw Noam Pikelny play very up close, like a 2 hour show, and I was I mean, absolutely blown away by what the banjo could do. It was not what I thought it was. You know, I had already been playing for like a year or two at this time, and I didn't know who he was. I mean, I was a
Was
Bela Fleck
was that
fan for sure.
was that
So it
predate
wasn't
Punch
like
Brothers?
that's pre Punch Brothers. It was
Okay.
David Greer. It was him, David Greer, and Shad Cobb played a trio show at Barking
I
Legs.
was at that show.
Um, yeah, yeah, I think we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
You were
Shad
there. The
shredded a
freaking
bow that day.
yeah, the Slim Pickens guys were there. We didn't even know each other. Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
funny. There's a couple of folks. It is like a legendary show in Chattanooga. I know of a couple people that have been like, we've talked about it and been like, yeah, I was at that show. But you know, that's
All
kind of it.
100 of
Really,
us.
honestly, bluegrass banjo is what pulled me back into playing music. So ever since then, I've really been just attached to it. And you know, I still play guitar. I play guitar quite a bit, especially over the last few years. I've really been picked up and playing more guitar than normal and bass, honestly. But it's banjo is always feels like home.
Your first bluegrass band was that Slim Pickens?
Yeah, Slim Pickens was the first bluegrass band I was. Well, hold on, let me say that again. Let me start that. Slim Pickens was my second bluegrass band. The first bluegrass band was called the Bigfoot Brothers Bluegrass Band, and that was me and my buddy Ivan and my buddy Jeremy. They both played guitar. I played banjo, and I'd just been playing for about a year, year and a half. And our bass player was Todd Parks from the same bush band. And
Hey, Todd.
we were just playing like getting to learn how to play, basically learn how to play bluegrass. And we had all been friends with Todd since we were younger, and Todd and I played in bands together, but playing banjo was a new thing. So he just humored us and showed us how to play some songs. And, you know, we would sit around and play. Ivan, the guitar player and singer, had been around bluegrass, a jammer his whole life, you know, just been at bluegrass jams, going to bluegrass festivals with his dad since he was a kid. So he knew every song. So that was the first band, but it was basically like we would do like every week we would get together and we would just have a fun night during the week, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday or something, cook food. All the wives would all come, and we would all, you know, just hang out and play whatever. Slip Pickens came along. I was a bit more serious about playing the banjo and was really looking to play with some better people than I was. You know, like I really wanted to play with people who are really good,
Oh, you get better.
who yeah, to try to get better, yeah. And so I was kind of looking for, and all those guys moved away. You know, like Todd, it was he was only really there just randomly anyway, but he's obviously on the road. I think at this time he's playing with Jerry Douglas, so he's on the road with Jerry Douglas, and those other guys had kind of moved away, moved out of town. So I was looking to play with somebody else. It's a funny story. I answered a Craigslist ad for a hot female banjo player. That's how we met.
For Slim Pickens?
Yeah, yeah. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
Craigslist.
We
Yeah.
gotta hear that. If you told me, I forgot.
I really was just looking to play with anybody, and this is a different era of Craigslist. This isn't the, you know, back pages Craigslist. This is when you could just check or whatever. But there's a musicians like wanted page on Craigslist, and one of them was like, "We're looking for a hot female banjo player for a bluegrass band." And I was like, "Well, I'll take a stab here." And I sent an email. I was like, "I'm not female, but I'm
Did they ask for a
your banjo
selfie?
player." And I was like, you know, my wife says I'm hot. I don't, you know, get warm in the summer.
If it pays enough, I can wear.
But it worked out. Yeah, it worked out, and it was funny. It was the guy who had put the ad in was in the band for like 2 weeks, but he was the bass player before Justin. Justin played guitar. But yeah, so once I started playing with Slim Pickens, they were highly motivated and they wanted to play shows, which was something that I really started to get a taste for again. So once we started playing shows, and then Slim Pickens just, I mean, that was pretty much all I was doing there for a long time, was just playing banjo and playing Slim Pickens. And I mean, I had a job, but other than that, that was pretty much it. And then
Well,
I'm
Slim
still in that
Pickens
band. I mean,
jumped on the scene really quick. I mean, I think I saw Slim Pickens for the first time in, I'm guessing 2009, and you were opening for the infamous String Dusters.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We started playing it out in 2008. Yeah, We opened for the Spring Dusters in '09. Yeah, we had a great time. 2009 was a fun year. It was a really fun year because it was like all of a sudden there was a bluegrass band, and there hadn't really been a bluegrass band in Chattanooga in a long time. So, or like a younger bluegrass band, I mean. And then we just
Impressive.
everywhere we went, people were coming. Yeah, yeah. Well, and we were concentrated on bluegrass. There was other bands that had come around. They were playing bluegrass instruments, but they were playing popular songs, and. But yeah, so that was it. Slim Pickens, those guys have. I mean, they turned into like closest best friends. Lifelong. And High Cold Wind is basically made up of the Slim Pickens personnel who can still travel and play.
For my listeners that may or may not know, my bumper music at the beginning and the end of every episode is from Slim Pickens' album, self-titled album. The Stinger is the opening song, which I believe John Boulware wrote.
That's
And
correct.
then the Owl, no, it's the last song.
Bit the Barn Owl, something like that. Yeah, the Owl Bit the
Yes.
Barn Owl. That's one
Yes.
Darren wrote. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody who's
Those are
listened
fun
has
songs.
heard Slim Pickens' music, at least in brief 10-second periods.
Yeah.
That band is still in existence. It's just that's not the one that can travel. There's some additional daytime responsibilities or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And probably around COVID 2020 is the first kind of formation of High Cold Wind.
Yeah, it kind of started in 2016. Slim Pickens went to Europe, and in Europe, we were there for like 28 days or something, and we played like 31 shows. We played like one show a day every day. Some days we played two. I think we had one day off.
Wow.
Um,
They're working you.
but I fell in love with it. I realized during that how important playing live shows was to me, and how much like just how much I wanted to do it. That's what I wanted to do as much as I could. So I realized there's some there's some limitations with Slim Pickens. Number one, the name Slim Pickens has a roof. There's a Slim Pickens in every major market in Eastern America. There's a Slim Pickens in Washington D.C. and there's one. They're everywhere. It's not like it's a name we could continue to use. And some of those guys didn't really want to tour that much or play out. And it was this time too. Like we took Tyler Martelli with us to Europe to play mandolin, and that was when I first met Tyler, and we, became just like you would imagine, spending that much time together in close quarters. We just became great friends, and
Well,
so when
how come into place if you had just met him? Hey, you want to go do a European tour and live in a van for the next month?
here's the secret. Number one, he was young and he was broke, so and he was talented. So I was like, all right, he has zero responsibilities. He has no money to do anything, and he could play like the devil, man. So I didn't even know him actually. I'd actually talked to another mandolin player, and we had what happened was we were a couple of months out, and the Slim Pickens mandolin player was just he had some things come up, and he was like, I'm just not going to be able to make it, and so it was like all of a sudden the the contract with the touring company was for a five-piece band, and so I got him worked out to the where he could have a four-piece for the first half of the tour, and that band became the High Cold Wind because that band
Okay.
was me, John, Tyler, and Justin, and eventually that's what happened. And then the last half of the tour, Brad joined us too, and we swapped back to doing kind of regular Slim Pickens stuff. But that hanging out with Tyler, like I said, another mandolin player was the one who told. It's like, have you ever heard of Tyler Martelli? And I'd heard of the band that he had played in was a bluegrass band that was coming up behind us. They were younger guys, and I'd heard of the band, but I hadn't seen them play. And I honestly, just off of this mandolin player's recommendation and Tyler's availability, was what put him on that tour. So
You play mandolin and you're
that
available.
I mean, the best ability is availability.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
uh, s- so, but out of that tour, I really realized that I wanted to play more, and I realized that there was limitations with how I had been handling it or how we had been doing it as a full band. So just thought it would be easier to do some stuff on my own. I've been writing the vast majority of the songs anyway. So I decided while we were in Europe to do a solo album. And it was one of those things where I had been always like, one day I'll do a solo album and then, it'll be this thing and that'll be like the end of it. But so when we came back from Europe, spent a couple of months raising money and then went to Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals and recorded a bunch and then brought a bunch of the recordings back to Soddy Daisy, Tennessee to the Soundry. And then that's where we kind of finished recording and then mixed and mastered songs from the Suck, which is my first self-titled debut I put out in 2016. That
Now you'll
started
have
off
to
like a
tell the
song.
listeners about where the suck came from
Oh, all of the
if
songs on
they're
the
not
album are
from here.
terrible. That's there's no, it's a reference to Suck Creek, which is it runs into the Tennessee River just upstream of Chattanooga. And back in the day, it had a really treacherous reputation before TVA dammed the river because as people would try to move cargo stuff through Chattanooga, they would hit the Suck, and the Suck was a section of rapids that would typically strand boats. And then on top of that, you have Native Americans would just wait for them to come around the corner, and then they would just bombard their ships, light them on fire, and stuff like that. So it's like this real treacherous part of the river journey. There's a couple of different reasons why I wanted to use that name. That Suck Creek and the fact that we were, just down the street from there finishing those recordings meant a lot. And it's just, there's a lot of reasons. And I thought it was funny. Honestly, I thought it's funny. But when I put that album out, it did change trajectory a little bit because it became some of the songs really peaked with people, and I'd put them in a couple of just songwriting contests and stuff like that. And Mobile Soon ended up getting picked up and won a contest, which really surprised me. And then another song won a contest, and then Mobile Soon got it into this thing called the Independent Music Awards, and then we ended up going to New York City for, I mean, a song that nobody was streaming or listening to, and we were getting,
New York City.
yeah, the big city. So we went up to New York
Oh,
and went to Lincoln Center and did this whole thing. It was wild, man. I got to hang out with John McEwen. He was there. It was weird. Yeah. So, and I mean, I was just really getting started out. That really made me want to push songwriting as the focus as opposed to necessarily just the bluegrass of the music itself. So I really did start focusing more on, I don't know, I guess maybe putting the songwriting out or putting it as the forefront as opposed to just the bluegrass and banjo playing stuff. And then,
this seems like an appropriate time to take a brief pause for a message from our sponsor.
Want to. It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado, I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee, Georgia, or Colorado. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6650 East Brainerd Road, Suite 208 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 929-381. And you've got a significant solo career, I suppose, is the best way to put it.
yeah. Well, what ended up happening after that, after Songs from the Suck was, yeah, I ended up getting a lot of offers to come play gigs. They were always solo songwriter gigs. So I really did that all throughout 2016, 2016 to 17. In 2018, I did Moxton Bender, which was a 5-song EP, and we recorded it back at the Soundry in Soddy Daisy. And that set up, honestly, the same thing happened. There was a song there called Age of Ben that just caught a bunch of people. And a lot of people liked it, and it ended up getting some high praise from critics. And it, American Songwriter Magazine, it made it to the semifinalists, and it was top 80 out of 11,000 or something like that.
Wow.
That was about, it was around there. Really, 2018, I started solo touring a lot. In 2019, I did 134 shows solo. I can't even remember, man, but it was like 20 something states, and I went crazy in 2019, and still worked 60 hours a week at the fire department and kept marriage and all that stuff going, family somehow. But I did it was pretty, it was a lot. It's gone a lot more than I should, or a lot more probably than I should have been, or more than I needed to be. But I was really set up. 2020 was set up pretty fat. And then, of course, COVID comes along. That changes everything. After COVID, I'd gone in and had done a bunch of writing all throughout COVID, and had done some song development and recording with Daryl Scott, and to about maybe doing some songs in the future. And then we laid down tracks for 10 in his studio up at his farm. And then as COVID kind of came out, it seemed to me apparent that I really just wanted to do as much bluegrass as I could. And so we started putting together the Hot Cold Wind. And it was really more about the album. It wasn't a live band. It was like, I want to do this album. And I just called it Hot Cold Wind. So we just started playing out as Randy Steele and Hot Cold Wind. And I just used the band that was on the album. So it was Faye Petrie on the fiddle, Tyler Martelli playing guitar, John Bulware playing mandolin, and Justin Hupp on the bass. And we toured out of that with that unit for all of 2022, 2023, and played a lot of fun shows. I had a great time playing as a 5-piece. It was pretty interesting. It was a little more showy, like it was, we really did kind of put together a show, and it was like we were trying to time stuff out in between songs and things like that, which is important. It's something I hadn't ever really done before. And it was cool, and I enjoyed that. And then when I put out Hot Cold Wind, there's a couple songs on it people liked. We did some videos, and that started the collaboration between me and Jakey Lutzko doing videos. And I think that's been probably one of my favorite collaborations, that or things that I've gotten into the last few years. Is he's also a like award-winning filmmaker, a horror filmmaker. And that's one of the things that he's really done the most. That's why we've been using him for everything. He's gotten into a bunch of different, he was in Atlanta Horror Festival. He's been in a bunch of different horror festivals for some of the horror shorts that he makes. Really cool if you ever get a chance. He's got a weird mind anyway. So a lot of the videos, he has such a fantastic eye, that that's, like I said, that's just been fun to do. I've always enjoyed doing videos. We have other stuff scheduled coming up soon for music that's coming out. But so sorry, I'm kind of rambling here, but
No, that's fantastic.
Hot Cold as the Hot Cold Wind stuff came out, Faye eventually, she had other obligations that she had to deal with, so we started going to a 4-piece. And really, all of 2024 and 2025, we've been playing the vast majority of the shows. The Tyler on guitar, John on mandolin, Justin on bass, and me playing banjo and singing. And we got into trying to open up the jam stuff. It's always been difficult. John Bulware comes from this big bluegrass background where the improvisation happens within these, parameters. And I had, my first section or study in bluegrass or study in improvisation came out of jam band stuff. And then the second one kind of came out of like learning freeform jazz and stuff like that in school, with all these having to play with all these jazz guys all the time. And so bluegrass is like the third time I've tried to dive into improvisation. It was in this structured environment. So it was fun in the same, like pushing John a little bit to go out and not having a structured environment, having to listen more has been really fun. The last year we've been really focusing on that, and even doing drills and practice.
How'd you get John to loosen up?
John, honestly, he has an open mind. John's such a fantastic musician. I really think he gets bored. I'll be honest with you. I think he gets bored doing like million notes at a time, which is, like something I just would try to do for hours and hours every day for months and months on end. And he can do flawlessly. He just gets bored with it. No, I think John, he was ready to give it a try. And I think too, he saw some, once you start seeing reactions, like we've gotten such good crowd reactions no, when we're just doing that it's really tough to pull away from, or it's kind of like, see, I think we do have something, or I think there is something here. Let's just keep giving it a run and seeing. And I
It's a
still
big
think
thrill
we're in
for
the
me seeing the improv. Yeah.
I think we're still in the beginning phase, honestly. And a lot of it is just because where everybody's busy, we don't get to practice as much as we want to, but it is like that's kind of been the focus for the last 2 years has been what can we do with these live shows and what can we do with these jams. Same time, we're in the studio right now, and I have new songs coming out here, and I got one coming out at the end of August, so it's probably out already. Which it's a live cover that me, John, and Justin did at Exit In of "Gone Daddy Gone," the Violet Femme song,
Oh, fantastic.
bluegrass style.
Yeah, we'll link that.
And then all the original stuff comes out here in the fall.
You've got new singles coming
Sorry, I don't know
out
if
or
I
a new album
rambled. Did I
coming out?
ramble enough to get? I've got
No. Hey,
I've got
it's
four. We just tracked four singles. So we're in the studio right now with Nick Lutzko. If you don't know who Nick is, he's a fantastic indie musician who just happens to live really close to me. He's done all kinds of great recordings. If you go look him up on YouTube, you'll be like, what? But
he's got
we've
some
been
cool
recording
stuff.
with Nick. We've got really cool stuff. And the Extra Miles of Gravel Road is a song I put out in March, and I recorded that with Nick. So I've got a couple more coming out. I know one of yours that you like, Cheers to Rob. We just recorded it. All we're waiting. I think that's going to be probably one of the first ones that comes out this fall. And then we're going to do a fall run of stuff that comes out. So yeah, pay attention at randysteelemusic.com. So we'll have a bunch of stuff happening all over the place.
I can't wait. I'm excited. You've got, so the IBMA is right around the corner. You got a lot booked coming up in the fall. You're at Three Sisters. I know we can say that. You're booked
Yeah.
at the main stage at
Yeah.
Three Sisters with an amazing
Yeah, it's
stacked
great,
lineup.
man. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I can't wait. We've got some really cool things planned for that. So yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. I can't wait. If you don't know, Three Sisters is a bluegrass festival. It's a free festival here in Chattanooga. It's been going on for, I think this is 12th or 13th year, something like that. It's been going for a long time. And we've always tried to get in. I've never been able to get in. So this is our first time getting in. So I'm pretty excited. They usually only do one local band, one or two. Three Sisters is going to be fun. We have some more shows coming up in the fall. We're coming back to Charleston, South Carolina here in a week and a half or 2 weeks. We have some North Florida shows and some going to play North Georgia Folk Festival in Athens, Georgia in October the 12th. That's that weekend. Yeah. We're doing a trio show. We had this show last year and Hurricane Helene cut it out. So this is a makeup for Hurricane Helene. There's a bunch of great bands though on it's a really cool festival. I'm really pretty excited about it. I haven't played much in Athens, Georgia. We've only played there probably 2 or 3 times. And it's always been at like barbecue joints or like beer joints. So it's going to be cool to see some of the Athens like music aficionados and not just the people who just happen to stumble in.
That's a fun place to see a show. Some of my best shows were in Athens.
It is. Man, one of my coolest musical memories ever is in Old Georgia Theater, Athens, Georgia.
Absolutely. Well, you also got a show coming up September 12th is it Huntsville?
Huntsville.
I don't have my notes.
Huntsville. Yeah, we'll be. St. Stephen's has been a really cool like venue. We've really enjoyed playing there, man. Those guys are really cool, and I know that they're fixing to expand. That they're moving venues. So the venue is going to be. I can't remember if it's in the same spot or not, but when we play, I think this is going to be our last gig in the classrooms. What I think it was. What he told me last time.
Get it while you can. Last chance.
We love playing. Those folks are cool, and that venue is. I mean, there's no back row. It's all front row. It's a pretty sweet spot.
Definitely worth checking out. What else you got coming up for this year that you can talk about at this point?
Really our biggest focus has been putting out as far as a performing musician, my biggest focus has really been putting out new singles and basically try to get like 2 weekends a month booked where I can go play and still come back and be a dad and be a husband. I'm in a lucky situation. I guess lucky is probably a bad word, but I'm in a good situation where I worked for the fire department, got a job really early, young, and made my time. So I'm actually, I'm retired now. I'm living off a pension. So touring is always a little difficult, but touring with a pension makes it a lot easier.
You might actually make if you're careful.
Well, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know.
But you got to pay
It
the
just makes
band,
it a lot
right?
less stressful. Yeah, it just makes it a lot less stressful, probably. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. We're not. I think we're going to try to do one big push maybe every year to go out somewhere cool, but we're probably not going to be doing a bunch of getting on airplanes. And I just don't see us ever really being a huge traveling band. I would love it, but I just don't think it's really in the cards. I see us being more kicking it here regionally, stay in Chattanooga, Birmingham, Knoxville, Nashville, Atlanta, that kind of stuff.
Southeast.
Huntsville. Yeah, sticking to the southeast, and that's kind of where I think this is what it seems like it's going, and that's where it seems like. But then again, you never know, man. People may love "Cheers to Rob" and it blow up, or "Extra Miles of Gravel Road" may pick up on someone, and you never know. But I'm not. I don't know. I don't think that's really us anyway. I think we're really just doing. It's about having a good time, and as long as we keep it about having a good time, I think we're in good shape. I think that's a good philosophy to keep for a band. And even though it's difficult now, I mean, I don't know, it's weird now. I go play solo shows to make enough money to make sure the bluegrass band shows aren't, crazy stressful. I would love to play bluegrass band shows all the time, but it's just, I mean, the money makes it really hard to do. It's hard to ask people to do a bunch of stuff, hours and hours and hours worth of work, and
Well,
be
we've
like, here's
talked
a hundred
about it
dollars.
a lot. Yeah, the
Yeah,
hustle of being a musician, especially bluegrass, is ridiculous. I mean, you can't just
yeah,
pay the bills with one gig unless you become Billy Strings. You've got to do anything you can.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So,
I think too, I mean, I really think that the bluegrass path for me, though, may lie more in doing some teaching stuff and, kind of expanding our Tuesday night local thing and to try to
yeah, speaking of teaching,
push,
you host a jam every Tuesday at Barrel House Ballroom in Chattanooga. Is this going to go beyond the summer, or what's the plan with tell us about the jam on Tuesdays?
Yeah. So we have a jam on Tuesdays, like you just said, that happens at Barrel House Ballroom, Five Wits Brewing here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right in downtown. And what we do is we do a 6:30 jam, which is like a slow jam, starter jam, beginner jam kind of thing, where we have a set list, a designated set list that I put out each week. So they have a whole week to work on and learn the songs. And then what we do, we go through this 8 song set list all together, and like basically me and John Bulware, he comes a lot, and we have a bass player who comes, and we just go through the songs. It takes about an hour to get through 8 songs, and they're real slow, and they're real easy. Will the Circle Be Unbroken, stuff like that. Nothing really super hard. It's almost all GCD songs, and every now and again we'll throw a E minor in on people. That's about it. Yeah.
That's when you lose me.
Yeah. We talk about it. It doesn't come without discussion. We wouldn't put an E minor on somebody without really talking about it ahead of time. But that Tuesday night thing blew up. I mean, I thought it was just going to be fun times. That was just kind of, chill or whatever. But man, it's turned into one of their bigger nights every week. And Tuesdays have just been a blast, man. People keep showing up, and the beginner jam keeps getting bigger and bigger. And what we do after the beginner jam we do that from 6:30 to 7:30. At 7:30, we just open the floor up and have, whoever wants to come jam, you're welcome to come jam. We have, like, as we were talking about before, we have great musicians in this town, a bunch of great bluegrass musicians, and they typically all come. And then a bunch of musicians who aren't from this town keep coming. And then a bunch of musicians who aren't necessarily bluegrass musicians start showing up. And so now we got this big acoustic bluegrass jam going. They have to keep kicking us out every Tuesday, and they're cool with it. They don't mind. They just tell us, hey, it's time to get, GTFO.
Have to go home, but you can't stay
But
here.
yeah, that's said a lot. They have to push us out of the parking lot sometimes. They're like, okay, the parking lot is still the bar. You got to get out of here. But it really has grown and expanded in the first couple of months so fast, and that I think it would be silly not to really pay attention to it and try to put. I mean, I think we're doing a good thing. We're really bringing a lot of people to bluegrass music. We're really expanding the footprint of bluegrass music in Chattanooga because so many beginners are getting this same. The thing that got me into bluegrass music was Cindy Pinion's bluegrass festivals. She had these festivals. Oh, it's cool. You go watch a band play. That was cool. But then, just what we talked about, you spend half the night in a campground learning and playing bluegrass songs and jamming with other people. And when you're first learning how to play an instrument, you start getting to where the same way that I was jamming with the Bigfoot Brothers Bluegrass Band once a week, it really helped me learn the songs and be motivated to play. This jam does that for other folks too. It kind of feels that exact same void. So we got people that, at the very least, are playing and learning bluegrass for 2 or 3 hours a week. And it's new people, and we keep seeing new people every week. And it just keeps getting bigger and better. And we've got now John Bulware and I are setting up some framework to really expand it even more. So I'm really excited about the way that that's going too. And it's pretty neat to be involved in getting other people into bluegrass music and showing how much fun it is and what it is as a trying. We're really welcoming, we're very inviting. It's part of the overall philosophy that we kind of instilled right away, is to try to introduce ourselves to every person that comes in the door and kind of treat it like a bluegrass church, because that's what we're really trying to do, is redeem your souls from all the terrible music y'all been listening to and playing forever, you know.
I've been a couple times and I intend to come again, and it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. But one thing I want to mention too, you can likely also bring your spouses or significant others. They've got really good food, and they have a full bar and their own microbrewed beer, high quality stuff. But I had their smash burger a couple times back, and it was worth the trip by itself. So you got nothing to lose. Come have dinner and catch some bluegrass and learn to play, and all skill levels.
Yeah,
feel welcome.
I mean, you're exactly right. What you're saying is one of the main motivators, and one of the things that's pushing everything, is that people are showing up just to listen and hang out, just because they're like, oh, this is such a neat, cool thing happening. They're not used to bluegrass jams happen behind closed doors all the time. It's not easy to go to Spigma, you know. It's not easy to, if you're a random not into bluegrass, Joe, you know, whatever. If you don't
Yeah, it's not
listen to it
inviting.
play, it'd be hard to well, it would be hard to discover bluegrass music that way, right? And that's kind of where I think we're a little different in these jams, is that they're out in public and we're having people show up and they're like, we're nice, everybody's friendly and inviting, and it's just a big jam, and it's basically a big party. We're having a good time and eating left coast smash burgers, like you said. Yeah.
It's the only party in town you can bring a banjo and not be booed.
That's true. That's true.
Well, good deal, man. You got anything else coming up in 2025 that we need to make sure we know about?
I would say just keep track. There's a couple things that are happening during IBMA, and there's a couple things I've gotten scheduled for that I'm pretty excited about. I'm hoping that those things are a, catalyst to push further for some things. But yeah, we're trying. I'm trying to get out west in the spring. We're trying to book. I think that's going to be our one big push, is to try to go out west this spring. Everything else is just basically local shows. We're booking in Huntsville, Charleston, South Carolina, Athens, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, Macon, Georgia. So y'all keep your eye out. We'll be coming to you. Statesboro.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to come to Statesboro too.
Awesome. You had mentioned IBMA, which gives me an excuse to circle back around because we're almost out of time. And I can't believe I didn't bring this up when we first started. But you're very modest. You're not going to admit to it. But read a story in the Chattanooga Times Free Press, so it must be true, that you essentially are the reason IBMA is coming to Chattanooga. You planted the initial seed.
The IBMA sent out a letter saying, or they sent an email saying that they were going to leave Raleigh, and they were looking for they were exploring the idea of a new place. And I just had friends in the right spot. And honestly, he introduced me to Donna L. Harrison, who I don't know if you know or not, but she works for Visit Chattanooga, and I, had explained it to Donna what it was, and she really grabbed hold of it with two hands. I would really hate to take any credit, because if it wasn't for Donna, I don't think this would have ever happened. So maybe I sent an email, and then while Visit Chattanooga was courting IBMA, I was getting bluegrass bands together to happen to be playing at the places they were taking them to eat dinner, and so we're giving them visual aspects of what it would look like in Chattanooga if we had IBMA here, because there's bluegrass bands. And that was part of the, like, kind of like, we did a lot of discussion about culture, about bluegrass culture, and what will be cool and what will be important to bluegrass folks. And so it's really kind of like that. Like, that was pretty much all I did. Was just, it was really, when it comes down to the real dotting the I's and crossing the T's and really pushing hard everybody, I would say Donna L. Harrison, her media name is Donna L. Let me say that. Donna L. is really probably one of the biggest reasons why it's here. And Ken White himself. I mean, I think Ken White fell in love with Chattanooga when he came, and I think it's because we played a bunch of Ken White songs with him, so we had a bluegrass band ready to go for him. You know what I mean? I think you were there. I think you were there.
I was.
Did I?
I
No,
was.
I think I did. I think I snuck the word to you and some
We
other
that
folks,
that
so there would be people there like, hey, we're gonna.
that was, I believe, November 29th of 2023. And that has a historical significance, the day Ken White came, where you did the pop-up bluegrass band, because we had lunch that day. And that was kind of the genesis of T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. That was the day I said, I'm going to start a podcast.
That's right. That's funny. Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing tonight?
That's a big day.
Yeah. Come to the Whiskey Thief. Where the board from IBMA is going to be there. We're going to play. We're going to play a little pop-up bluegrass show.
Yeah, that's right. Day. And that was a fun night. Yeah. Wow, that's funny. I'm glad you got a good memory. I would never remember that date.
Well, I there's a video.
We got
I'll have to share the link.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Well, Randy, I really appreciate you coming on today. It's been a ton of fun. They're worth the trip. Get out to the Southeast when they're touring. They are really, really, really a lot of fun. Randy, I appreciate it. Hopefully we bump into each other at IBMA. Keep us up to speed on what's going on with the jam. And, when you get new events or promotions, make sure to send them my way, and I'll make sure the listeners can find it.
I definitely will do that, man. I appreciate all those kind words, Trevor. That means a lot, man. You've been a good friend for a long time, man. I appreciate you always coming to shows, and you've been, some people have those Keystone folks who do push, like, the fact that you guys come to shows out of town, and some of the other folks that do that too. That really does push, like, oh man, it truly is gasoline in the tank, So I appreciate that, man.
Happy to do it. Get out and see local music. Support the venues. Support the musicians, not just Randy Steele, but everybody that's out there, especially in the bluegrass and beyond. And thanks again, Randy. Looking forward to seeing what the future has in store.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
The only thing I found more entertaining than that interview or conversation with Randy Steele is seeing Randy Steele in the High Cold Wind in person. Absolutely amazing time. If you ever get the opportunity, please do so. Randy Steele, as a songwriter, is also fantastic. He's got just incredible songwriting. So anytime you get the opportunity to see Randy Steele or Randy Steele in the High Cold Wind or Slim Pickens, I highly recommend you do so. I'm certain he's going to be part of the IBMA. The Ramble schedule has not been announced as of yet, as of this recording, but I'd be really shocked if he wasn't part of the Bluegrass Ramble on Thursday when they're having a local focus. They're definitely playing at the Three Sisters Festival in October 3rd and 4th in the Chattanooga, Tennessee riverfront. They're playing at noon on Saturday. Ross's Landing, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Get out here. Make sure you get to see them play. You will not regret it. If you do, I will offer a money-back guarantee. That's right, T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. Standing behind what I'm preaching. Hey there. Last-minute edit, emergency edit, so to speak. literally hours before this episode is being released, I've got a special announcement to make for next week's episode of T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. When Randy and I were talking during this interview, the ramble schedule for IBMA was not finalized yet. And even though I had a basic idea of what to expect, nothing was for sure. Well, as of this morning, the schedule is out, and to be expected, it is stacked. So I'm having Randy come back again next week, Wednesday, September 10th, for those of you keeping track of score at home. And we're going to run through all of the bands scheduled to be at the IBMA. We're going to have a terrific conversation and tell the listeners of who, what, where, when. So come back next week. So thank you again for joining me today. I'm a mortgage lender in Colorado, Tennessee, and Georgia. I'd be honored to have the opportunity to share mortgage assistance with my fans of T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. Make sure to hit me up, 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody who might enjoy T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. Thanks again for tuning in to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. And now, please stick around for a word from our sponsor.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado. I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee, Georgia, or Colorado. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6650 East Brainerd Road, Suite 208 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 929-381.